Imagine being in a life or death situation, surrounded by danger on all sides, yet you remain calm, unshaken. What if I told you that in those very moments, your faith could become your shield, an invisible force protecting you from harm? In a world filled with uncertainties, what if the key to your safety lies not in your strength, but in your devotion? There are stories of people who found themselves trapped in terrifying circumstances, facing imminent threats, yet emerged unscathed. How? Could it be that their prayers, their connection with the Creator, became a barrier between them and danger? We often hear about the power of faith, but what if this unseen force could literally save you from the impossible? In Islam, we are taught that whoever fears Allah, He will make a way for him to escape. Quran 65:2. But can we truly grasp the depth of this promise? Join us as we explore incredible stories that challenge our understanding of protection, fate, and the power of prayer. Stay tuned because what you're about to hear will make you rethink everything you thought you knew about faith. Peace be upon you, subscribers of Heartbeats for Allah. Friends, prayer is not just a ritual, but a command from Allah, binding every believer, regardless of their circumstances. There is no exemption from this sacred duty. Whether you can stand, sit, or even lie down, prayer must be offered. The Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, taught us that no matter what, we must maintain our connection with the Creator through prayer. His life was filled with teachings on the importance of salah, and his guidance was clear. If you're unable to pray standing, sit. If you can't sit, lie down. If you can't even lie down, pray with gestures. There is always a way, and it's a command we must never neglect. This is not just a call to action for us, but a means of protection and solace. The Prophet, PBUH, emphasized this in numerous hadiths, urging his companions and the generations after them to never neglect prayer, as it is the key to success in this life and the hereafter. One such testament of faith comes from the life of Hazrat Ali, A.R.A., who, during a battle, was struck by an arrow. Despite the intense pain, he requested that the arrow not be removed until after he had completed his prayer. He knew that while his body was in pain, his connection with Allah through prayer would bring him peace. This unwavering devotion to Salah is what makes the following story so extraordinary. Prayer isn't just an act. It is the essence of a believer's life, and it holds a power that defies logic. Let's begin with one of the most incredible stories that you may find hard to believe. It involves a man who was out in an open field, performing his prayer, when suddenly he heard a commotion. Out of nowhere, a wild dog appeared, charging toward him, ready to strike. Now, in any normal situation, the first reaction would be to panic, to flee, or at least move out of harm's way. But not this man. He remained unmoved, his heart steady, his focus unwavering, completely absorbed in his prayer. What happened next is nothing short of miraculous. The wild dog, which moments ago was charging at him with the intent to harm, suddenly stopped. It froze just inches from him, as though an invisible force had placed a barrier between them. The dog stood there motionless, as if it could not move forward. The man, without breaking his prayer, continued as if nothing had happened. His concentration was so deep that even a wild animal couldn't disrupt it. And then, as if commanded by something beyond our understanding, the dog simply turned and walked away, leaving the man unharmed. What caused this animal to halt its attack? What unseen force intervened at the exact moment this man's faith was put to the ultimate test? This is a mystery that goes beyond the natural world and speaks to the unseen protection Allah provides to His believers. The man's faith, his devotion to prayer, was his shield, and it worked. This story leads us to another equally extraordinary event that took place in Indonesia. A young man was praying in the middle of a dense jungle. The area was known for its wild creatures, including venomous snakes. As he stood in prayer, a massive snake slithered across his prayer mat. The snake was clearly not one to be taken lightly. Its venom could easily kill. But here's where the story takes an unbelievable turn. Despite being face to face with one of the most dangerous creatures in the jungle, the man did not flinch. His heart remained calm, his mind fixed on Allah. The snake, rather than attacking, stopped in its tracks and stood still, as if it were under a command it could not disobey. For what seemed like an eternity, the man continued his prayer, undisturbed by the deadly creature in front of him. As he moved into the next position, The snake remained where it was, not moving a single inch. It was only when the man finished his prayer and began to slowly rise from his prostration that the snake, without any warning, retreated back into the jungle. What stopped this dangerous animal from attacking? Was it the man's faith, or was it something beyond our comprehension? These stories are not isolated incidents. They speak to the profound power of faith and prayer. They demonstrate that when you place your trust completely in Allah, nothing in this world can harm you. Your prayer becomes a fortress, an unbreakable shield that protects you from all kinds of harm, whether it's from wild animals, the forces of nature, or the trials of life. We now turn to a heart-stopping event that took place on the streets of Palestine. During a period of conflict, a father and his young son decided to pray in public. They set up their prayer mat and began offering their salah despite the volatile environment around them. As they prayed, an Israeli guard released a savage attack dog toward them. The dog, bred for violence, was trained to attack without mercy. But the father, with complete faith in Allah, did not waver. He continued his prayer, despite the dog getting closer and closer. The child, scared but still focused, looked at the dog, but the father remained unfazed, his heart firmly placed in his salah. In a stunning turn of events, as the father completed his prayer and uttered his final words, "Assalamu alaikum," the dog, who had been barking loudly just moments before, suddenly sat down at their feet. It stopped growling, and its aggressive behavior was completely gone. It was as if an unseen force had commanded the dog to behave. It sat there, calm, and the father and son were left untouched. The dog stayed there until the two finished their prayer and left. Now, this story is supported by several witnesses who saw the dog's strange behavior, and it's been interpreted by many as a divine intervention. Could it be that the father's unshakable faith in Allah and his dedication to prayer was enough to calm the beast? Or was it something else entirely? These moments are more than just stories. They are powerful reminders of the extraordinary protection that faith brings. But there's more. In India, during a time when Muslims were facing extreme hostility and violence, a group of worshippers was performing their prayers inside a mosque. The police, who were gathering outside with the intention of raiding the mosque and harassing the worshippers, were met with a shocking sight. As the officers approached, an imposing lion suddenly appeared at the mosque's entrance. It sat down and refused to let anyone approach. The lion's presence was so commanding that no one dared to move forward. The officers, surprised and stunned, backed away. It was a scene straight out of a storybook, but it was happening in real life. This isn't the end of the story. Let's go to Russia, where a Muslim traveler was on a flight high above the ground when disaster struck. The plane's engines malfunctioned, and it started plummeting toward the earth. As chaos erupted, everyone was panicking. But amidst the madness, one man remained calm. He got down on the floor and began to pray, turning to Allah for protection. When the flight attendants saw him praying, they were amazed at his calm demeanor. They wondered how he could remain so composed in the face of certain death. When the man finished his prayer, he told the crew not to worry. He assured them that the plane would land safely. And just as he predicted, the engines miraculously came back to life, and the plane landed without incident. The crew, deeply moved by his unwavering faith, later embraced Islam. These are not mere coincidences. They are divine interventions, proof of the extraordinary power of prayer. When you pray with sincerity, you invite Allah's protection into your life. Prayer becomes more than just words. It becomes a force that shields you from harm, both seen and unseen.